She had nothing. Not a roof. Not a warm meal. Not a single person in the world who would notice if she disappeared. But on one freezing November night, she gave everything she had to a stranger lying alone in the dark. And that one moment of kindness from a girl the world had forgotten was about to change two lives forever. The city never truly sleeps. Even past midnight, the streets hum with distant traffic, flickering streetlights, and the quiet sounds of a world that keeps moving, indifferent to whoever it leaves behind. And it had left behind a lot. Her name was Maya, 12 years old, small for her age, with dark eyes that held a kind of wisdom no child should ever have to carry. She wore an oversized gray hoodie, faded, fraying at the cuffs, and a pair of worn sneakers with a crack along the left sole that let the cold seep in every time it rained. She kept her natural hair tucked under a knit beanie she had found outside a donation box the previous winter. Maya had been on the streets for almost 2 years. She didn't talk about what happened before that. Some memories are too heavy to carry out loud. What she did carry, every single day, was a quiet determination, a stubbornness to survive, and a heart that, despite everything the world had done to her, refused to go cold. She had a routine. Every evening, she would check behind the bakery on Clement Street, where the owner sometimes left unsold bread in a paper bag near the back door. Not always, but sometimes. On lucky nights, she would find half a sandwich left on a bench by the park. She ate slowly on those nights, grateful, never wasteful. That particular Tuesday, she had managed to find one small bread roll and a bruised apple. She tucked them carefully into the front pocket of her hoodie and made her way toward the underpass on 5th, her shelter for the night, a dry concrete corner hidden behind a rusted pillar where the wind couldn't reach her. She was almost there when she heard it. A sound, low, strained, like someone trying to call out, but not having enough breath to do it. Maya stopped. She looked around. The street was empty. The nearest street light buzzed weakly, casting more shadow than light. Then she saw him, a man, lying on his side on the pavement just beyond the edge of the sidewalk. He was dressed well, a dark wool coat, leather shoes, which made the image even more jarring. People who dressed like that didn't end up on the ground like this. For a moment, Maya didn't move. She had learned, the hard way, that getting involved in other people's trouble on these streets rarely ended well for someone like her. She was a young girl, alone, with no phone and no one to call. Every instinct she had built over 2 years of survival told her to keep walking. But he made that sound again, and Maya's feet were already moving toward him before her mind could argue. She crouched down beside him. His face was pale, damp with sweat despite the cold. His breathing was shallow. His hand was pressed against his chest. "Sir," her voice was barely above a whisper. "Sir, can you hear me?" The man's eyes opened slowly. They were dark, tired, and confused, the way eyes look when the world has suddenly stopped making sense. I can't," he swallowed hard. "I can't seem to." "Okay," Maya said. "Calm. Steady. Okay, it's okay. Don't try to get up." She looked around quickly. No one. She had no phone. The nearest open shop was 2 blocks away. She did the only thing she could do. She sat down beside him on the cold pavement, pulled off her hoodie, keeping only the thin, long sleeve underneath, and folded it carefully beneath his head. The cold hit her immediately. She ignored it. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the bread roll. She had not eaten since morning. "Here," she said softly, breaking off a small piece and holding it close to him. "Small bites. Don't rush." The man looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. Not just confusion anymore. Something deeper. "You don't have to," he started. "I know," Maya said simply. "I want to." She stayed beside him. She talked to him. Not about anything important, just quiet words to keep him anchored. She told him the name of every star she could see through the gap in the buildings above them, even though she had made most of the names up. She told him about the bakery on Clement Street, and how on good nights the bread was still warm. She told him that the cold wasn't so bad once you stopped fighting it. He listened, and slowly his breathing steadied. When a passing taxi driver finally noticed them and stopped, and then an ambulance arrived 11 minutes later, The man reached up and caught Maya's hand before the paramedics helped him onto the stretcher. "What's your name?" he asked. "Maya," she said. He held her gaze for a long moment. His voice was rough, quiet. "Thank you, Maya." She watched the ambulance doors close. Then she picked up her hoodie from the pavement, pulled it back on, and walked the rest of the way to her underpass alone. She ate the other half of the bread roll in the dark, and she fell asleep without knowing that the stranger she had just helped was about to find her again. If you enjoy heart-touching stories like this, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel Cold Justice for more powerful stories that restore faith in humanity. Hit the bell so you never miss a moment. His name was James Whitfield, 51 years old, founder and CEO of Whitfield Capital, a global investment firm valued at over $4 billion. He had built his empire from nothing over 20 years, and in doing so had quietly forgotten what nothing actually felt like. That night, doctors told him he had experienced a severe cardiac episode. If he had been alone on that pavement for much longer without someone keeping him calm and conscious, the outcome would have been very different. He told his assistant about Maya the very next morning from his hospital bed. He described everything: the gray hoodie, the beanie, the bread roll she had given him without hesitation, the way she had spoken to him like he was worth saving even when she herself had been given very little reason to believe the same about herself. It took his team 4 days to find her. She was behind a bakery on Clement Street on a Thursday evening, hoping for bread, when a woman in a neat coat approached her with a careful smile and said, "Are you Maya?" 2 weeks later, Maya sat in a building she had walked past 100 times without ever imagining she would go inside. Clean clothes, a warm meal on the table in front of her, and across from her, the man for the pavement, no longer pale, no longer struggling to breathe, sitting straight, composed, and looking at her with an expression she had never seen an adult direct at her before. Like she mattered. James Whitfield spoke slowly. He told her that he had spent the past 2 weeks thinking about the fact that a child with nothing had given him everything she had without being asked. That while he had spent 2 decades building a life defined by transactions, by what things cost and what they returned, a 12-year-old girl on a cold street had reminded him what it actually meant to give. "I'd like to help you," he said, "if you'll let me." Maya looked down at the table for a moment, then back up at him. "Why?" she asked. Not suspicious, genuinely curious. She had learned not to trust things that arrived too easily. James was quiet for a second. Then he said, "Because you helped me first, and because someone should have helped you a long time ago." What happened next was not a transaction. It was not charity performed for applause or cameras. It was quiet and it was real. Maya was placed with a warm, vetted foster family in the same neighborhood, so she didn't have to leave the streets she knew. She was enrolled in a school where a counselor met with her weekly and let her set the pace. James Whitfield set up a trust in her name, for education, for stability, for whatever future she decided to build. He asked for nothing in return except one thing: that she never stop being exactly who she already was. There's a version of this world that tells children like Maya that kindness is a luxury, that when you have nothing, you protect what little you have and you keep moving. That softness is weakness, that the street will punish you for stopping. Maya never believed that, not for a single night of those 2 years. And because she didn't, because she stopped and she sat down on cold concrete, and she gave a stranger her only bread roll and the warmth of her voice, she cracked open a door that no amount of money could have bought on its own. The world does not always reward kindness quickly. Sometimes it makes you wait in the cold for a very long time. But kindness is never wasted. It lands somewhere. It always does. And sometimes, when the night is dark enough and the right person is paying attention, it changes everything. Before you go, subscribe to Cold Justice for more heart-touching stories that remind you what it means to be human. And drop a comment right now telling us which story has touched your heart the most, and where in the world are you watching from. We read every single comment, and your words mean more than you know. Until next time, be the kind of person Maya already was.